Hey, Lana, how are you?
I'm here.
Lana's here.
Hey.
It is Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. Thank you for joining. We always appreciate anybody
Right.
joining in. Our new start time, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. How are you liking it? I know you have to get accustomed to it. Are you okay with
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. You know what's actually funny is when we got off last time, I was like, this is actually refreshing because, we break up the clips and all that stuff. So after because I'm always somebody that just wants to get to it right away. So after the show, I was up until 10:30, 11 o'clock going through it and doing all that stuff. And now it's like 9:30 and I'm like all done. So
right? You're like, I have time. What am I going to do now?
I have time, so there's always a game on I can watch. I put the game on. I have, I do my thing and, we still have time. So, and then I can read because I told you, I'm a big reader now, Lana. I've always read, but now I am literally finishing books. I'm not just reading half of them and putting them away for
finishing them. Big deal. That's a big deal. When I try to read a book, like I start to think about so many other things. Like I can't focus. Like, how do you read? How do you read now? Like just turn everything off and just go sit in the corner and just.
Well, I've been I'm through a transformation, Lana, in life because you got to. Because when Donald Trump won this fucking election,
right,
everybody's minds were like, oh, Jesus Christ, what are we going to do? This is nuts. I mean, and the intelligent people are like, this hurts my brain. My brain usually isn't hurt by such stupidity, but because we have a mountain of stupidity in this country now, intelligent people, their brains hurt. And so you have to find a way to soften that pain. And, I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been doing a lot of, things about how to get things out of your mind and, all that stuff. Yeah. And so it's helping clear my mind. And when my mind is clear, it's easier to start reading now and to comprehend. Now, I will say I still have that problem like maybe a lot of other people do, where you start reading something and you did not comprehend one damn paragraph you read.
Right.
Go back and read it.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm getting better.
Yeah, that's good. Practice.
That's all there is. But anyway, Lana, I'm sure you caught some of the Peter Hegseth hearings today in the Senate. Yeah. And it went just about as awful as you thought it would go. Now, it is funny, and we talk about how things are just so out of whack now.
Yeah.
If anybody that had Pete Hegseth's background tried to go in to get a job, and he had to answer every single question that was being asked of him today in the Senate hearings, what are the chances, do you think, that Pete Hegseth gets this job?
He's saying if it was reversed. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. And let's just say he's going in to be the manager of a convenience store.
I mean, come on. Yeah, no. Just no. No, he can't manage a nonprofit. Just no.
He's going for basically the highest military rank that you can be.
Right.
And he's going to get the job. There's no question about it in my mind. He's going to wind up getting the job. So we could drive ourselves crazy all we want to based on hearing what we're about to hear and do all this stuff. I will point out something that was pretty funny today. One thing that they on the right hate is the DEI hires, right? They don't like DEI hires. And Pete Hegseth is not a fan of DEI hires. Yep. I think, though, that the Republicans probably would have been better off had they made a DEI hire, because when they were presenting their case today, they had this sign behind them, Lana. DEI in our military. Do you want to take a look at the word military?
Military.
Yeah. It was misspelled. So they may have probably been better off making a DEI hire, because they would have been able. They literally went through blowing up this big sign. Yep. DEI in our military, it says.
Yeah.
And either nobody caught it or they just thought, nobody else is going to catch it, or they're like, screw it, just put it out there and we will embarrass ourselves because we are used to embarrassing ourselves constantly and we don't care about embarrassment.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, Senator Duckworth said it all.
Yeah.
She was like, you know, you're here to supposedly increase the standard of the military, but asking us to decrease our standard by letting you through. That's what they're all doing. Like, literally, right. That's what they're doing. They DEI, you know, the DEI firefighters in California, they don't know what they're doing. We got to make things at, you know, a higher standard when their president is not.
He's a DEI hire.
He is a DEI hire, according to what they say DEI is.
Correct.
Someone who's not qualified, right? So, like, yeah.
And he's a minority. I mean, in that respect, he, especially in 2016, he did not win the popular vote. Less people voted for him. And actually, in this last election, he did not win the majority of votes. So he is a minority in both elections, which, by, like Lana said, their definition is a DEI hire.
Yeah, him, his sons, his daughter, like just none of them. Like, yeah, it's but in what country does this happen? That you have Pete Hegseth, right? His only qualification is he was in the army and he's white.
And he's got tattoos. I don't know.
He knows some people. And this is the guy that all Republicans are like, yeah, that's our guy. Following Lloyd Austin, a 4-star general. This is what that guy? And he's literally there with a smirk on his face, like, yeah, I'm that guy.
Yep, he is the most unqualified. He might be one of the most unqualified people to ever get. Yeah.
Yeah. Who? They might as well
in any Senate hearing ever. He might be the most unqualified ever.
Bird, like, honestly, this is like a Rock would be as like he has
zero. Or The Rock. You know, either way.
Just no. It's frightening. It's funny.
Yep.
And it's kind of unbelievable that somebody would stoop that low. Like, we know Trump doesn't care for America. He doesn't give a shit. But to actually go that low, right? Like, that's just really, but again, it makes sense because if you give someone a job that they're totally unqualified for, they're beholden to you. He would have never, he loves, that's all he could talk about was Donald Trump while saying, you know, we're not going to politicize this, but Donald Trump's name was after every sentence that Hegseth said today.
Yeah, and you know what? You could tell too that he was speaking as if he was in one of his safe spaces because that's what he's used to doing. He's used to going on podcasts and sitting on Fox News and going on all these other batshit crazy news channels, and that's his safe space. And he could say whatever he wants. He's allowed to say, he's allowed to say whatever he wants anyway. But he feels comfortable using the DEI stuff. He feels comfortable saying women should not be allowed in the military. But when Big Boy was asked to his face, he wouldn't say the same things that he was saying on his little podcast and in his little safe spaces. And that's, to me, doesn't make me feel comfortable that this guy's not man enough to own up to the stuff that he says in his safe spaces, but he's not man enough to say it in front of Congress.
None of them are. And that's the other frightening thing, right? They talk a good game, but they're all punks and pussies. Like, all of them. Like, there's not one with a backbone. They're all bending the knee to an elderly convict.
Yep. And con man.
They're all afraid of their jobs instead of if they all just got together, they could defeat Trumpism. and send him packing. It's like what they don't understand is like we would not, of course, we would want to win, but we wouldn't have a problem with a regular conservative, like just someone who's normal, who's not trying to release J6ers or break up the Constitution or call the military on American civilians. Like, what the fuck? Can you imagine that shit? the military fighting and firing on Americans? What the fuck is that?
Well, that's what they've done, Lana. What they've done now is that liberals, Democrats, whichever way they want to label anybody, has now become the biggest enemy in the country. We are a bigger enemy to them than Russia, than China, than really anybody else. Other than, we're probably on the same level with the immigrants who are trying to cross the border to Mexico, even though we pose as big of a threat as they do, because statistically they don't pose any threat. Of course they're going to bring up the one or two cases that they can, and unfortunately I call celebrate. But you're right too about MAGAs. This is a David versus Goliath thing that we've got going on when it comes to the overall ecosystem between the right and the left now. I've heard for years that the left has dominated and controlled the media. The left does not control the media anymore. Absolutely not. The right absolutely controls the messaging through whatever media platform you want to say. Television, they have the #1 cable network. Podcast, they have more people in the top 15 in the right-wing ecosystem than anybody else. So they dominate the ecosystem. So the David versus Goliath part is that I'm not a big Bible guy, but the only thing I know about that story is David was able to use a rock to knock out Goliath. We are going to use our intelligence. That's our rock to knock them out. Because as you said, what happens is when you face these people face to face, when you confront them face to face, now all of a sudden, the word Lana used and the word I use a lot, they are pussies. They will back down because they know they're not smart enough when they go outside their little safe space bubble. And when they are confronted to their face, they get fucked up. And that's what I hope happens. We need to start using our intelligence as our rock and continue to blow through these assholes. But let's play a couple of clips, Lana, about what happened today. This is Gary Peters. He's a senator. And this goes back to one of the first things he said. And there's 100 clips I could have pulled about today. And I only pulled a couple because, Lana and I want to get off on a decent time too. But this is Gary Peters, and he's bringing up the fact, like we said earlier, if this is somebody that's just hiring for a regular job, would he be able to get the job?
I think there's a board of directors in America that would hire you as a CEO with the kind of experience you have on your resume. You talk about standards. You talk about raising or lower. We have a problem of standards in the DoD, and we have to raise standards for the men and women who serve. Do you think that the way to raise the minimum standards of the people who serve us is to lower the standards for the Secretary of Defense? That we have someone who has never managed an organization more than 100 people is going to come in and manage this incredibly important organization and do it with the professionalism and has no experience that they can tell us that they have actually done that? I have real problems with that. This is not about other issues that are brought up. They're all very important. I'm just about trying to get things done, managing efficiently, and having the best people who have demonstrated that in a large organization. And I'm sorry, but I don't see that in your background. There are a lot of other things you can do very well. You're a capable person.
I don't know about that.
You have not convinced me that you're able to take on this tremendous responsibility with a complex organization and having little or no significant management experience.
Amen. He said basically what we said here is that this guy's got zero experience. It's kind of like, I don't know, if you're trying to get a job as a computer tech, but you have zero experience with computers other than that you've been on one.
Are you used to like sell them at Best
Right.
Buy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you were able to sell them at Best Buy. That is a perfect comparison. And now all of a sudden, you are going to be the computer engineer for IBM.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it makes zero sense. But you know what? This is what Americans voted for. This is what and you know what? Somebody like myself, somebody like Lana, and millions of other people knew this was coming. This is not a shock to any of us. And for the other people that voted for this, it's not that it's not a shock for them, but they're pleased with all this. They are just fine. You know why? Not because they feel Pete Hegseth is the best person for the job. They feel like Donald Trump is trolling libtards. So this is the world for them. This is the best thing that happens to their day every day. And that's why they can wake up every day and throw on a hat, a shirt, fucking boxers that say Donald Trump with his face right next to their fucking dicks. They are weird people. Right, Lana?
But it's true. Like, they don't even, like, there's just no critical thinking. It's just like, yeah, that's right. You tell him, Pete. It's like, dude, no one cares about the rape. No one cares about, like, he cheated on his second wife and impregnated a third woman that he cheated on the second wife with. And got like
the family values people, by the way.
7 kids and the blahs of the blah. They don't care because they don't think about the real issue, right? They hear, and this is what the Republicans and Pete they did a good job of this, and Democrats got to do better. This woke thing, they continue to make the woke an issue and made it like it was this crazy thing that's just running rampant around the military. And woke is going to be different in the dumb MAGA's brain, right?
Correct.
Woke to them, they're thinking like the Pentagon, someone's running around with a skateboard in underwear, like on Bob's Burgers, with like the American flag on them and no shirt and a Speedo, right? Like that's what they think is going on when it's like serious work is being done. This country is being protected, right? You don't know and you're not thinking about it because we're actually being protected, right? Like you don't have to think about it because things are working the way they're supposed to be. But then when you have someone like this, it's like, I don't want women. So he gets in charge. What's going to happen? Women are not going to enlist. People of color are not going to. Like, you need people who are like multilingual, who can speak different languages to go into different places. You just want what? White with an Anglo men? Like, what? How is that going to work out? You're not going to have an army. Like, y'all ain't thinking very far. Not very clearly at all. It's just
no. I mean, I don't think we've ever blamed the MAGA side for thinking at all, to be honest with you. But this is another clip, and I pulled this one of Kristen Gillibrand. She did a good job because this is the kind of thing, like I said, I was talking earlier about them being in their safe space in their bubble, and they say all this shit, but she caught him in an absolute lie and called him out for it, which I love. And this is, again, moving forward, this is what the Democrats are going to have to do. Get in front of these fuckers' faces and call them out for their lies.
Standards have been changed inside infantry training units, Ranger School, infantry battalions, to ensure that
Give me one example. Please give me an example. I get you're making these generalized statements.
Quotas to have a certain number of female infantry officers or infantry enlisted, and that disparages those women.
Commanders do not have to be quotas for the infantry. Commanders do not have to have a quota for women in the infantry. That does not exist. It does not exist. And your statements are creating the impression that these exist, because they do not. There are not.
which he does constantly, and they do constantly on their safe space bubble.
Quotas. We want the most lethal force. But I'm telling you, having been here for 15 years, listening to testimony about men and women in combat and the type of operations that were successful in Afghanistan and in Iraq, women were essential for many of those units. When Ranger units went in to find where the terrorists hiding in Afghanistan or in Iraq, if they had a woman in the unit, they could go in, talk to the women in a village, say, where are the terrorists hiding? Where are the weapons hiding? And get crucial information to make sure that we can win that battle. So you cannot denigrate women in general, and your statements do that. We don't want women in the military, especially in combat. What a terrible statement. So please, do not deny that you've made those statements. You have. We take the responsibility of standards very seriously.
You know what's funny is that I guarantee you there are many women in the military who are way braver than Josh Hawley was on January 6th. The same guy who raised his fist at those people. But then when they were attacking the Capitol, that little bitch ran out, you know, probably pushing over women and just looked like it's what it felt like, you know.
On the Titanic, he would have been like,
Yeah, yep. So I don't know if you ever watched Seinfeld. I remember an episode where there was a fire and George was pushing over women and children to get out in front of everybody. That's what that reminded me of when Josh Hawley was booking his ass out of the Capitol. The same guy raised his fist at the same people. These people are just.
He never apologized once. Like he never ever.
Who, Josh Hawley?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Just never said, you know what? I have changed. You are right. I was wrong. Like that's how you know he's saying what he has to say. He's going to get through it. He's going to go get his fat cigar. He's going to have a drink. And he ain't going to think about nobody because that's what they're all going to do because they're all going to move over. They may one more. Republicans may have a fight with RFK Jr. and the fucking vaccines or something, but they're all going through. Like, they're afraid. Like,
well, they're afraid. And Lonnie, you know what happens if he apologizes. If he apologizes, Donald Trump, right in the middle of it, probably calls one of his henchmen to tap him on the shoulder and go, you're out, get out. You just apologized in front of these people. You're not allowed to apologize. We don't do that.
This is so bad, Brian. Like, you know, there was a time not too long ago, 4 years, where these guys could confirm, you know, the nominees in a bipartisan way. Like, because it wasn't, he's a Republican, blah, blah. That was like, what are his qualifications? What bothers me, right? Like, that's a thing. Now it's clearly partisan. They didn't ask Hegseth one question about he already knew the answers. Everything was just like about his family and his kids and name your kids. And he forgot one of their names and just like, it was ridiculous. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And like,
well, Anna, you know what the thing is that the precedent has been set because the least qualified person in the history of this world is now the president of the United States. He has zero qualifications, not only just to run his own businesses, he has zero qualifications to run this, like literally zero. None. All right. This last clip was probably the one most talked about. This was Tim Kaine. He went on for 8 minutes. This is only a couple-minute clip, but he really laid into him about his very shady past.
That occurred in Monterey, California in October 2017. At that time, you were still married to your second wife, correct? I believe so. And you had just fathered a child by a woman who would later become your third wife, correct?
Senator, I was falsely charged.
Fully.
First of all, was he even asked yet about the
charge with having a baby?
Yeah, right. I would say, what are you talking about? He's already jumping ahead because he knows the question is coming.
Exactly. Right.
But it's like, dude, relax, just answer the questions, calm down.
Investigated and completely cleared.
So you think you were completely cleared because you committed no crime? That's your definition of cleared? You had just fathered a child 2 months before by a woman that was not your wife. I am shocked
that you would stand here and say you're completely cleared. Can you so casually cheat on a second wife and cheat on the mother of a child that had been born 2 months before, and you tell us you are completely cleared? How is that a complete clear?
Senator, the child's name is Gwendolyn Hope Hegseth, and she's a child of God, and she's 7 years old.
And she
Her
was
child,
and you
by the way.
cheated on the mother of that child less than 2 months after that daughter was born, didn't you?
Those were false charges.
Well,
It was
no,
fully investigated.
Wait, I'm sorry, Lana. And I saw you roll your eyes, and you were right. The woman that had the baby that he cheated on with his wife is a baby of God. This religion thing.
God has to be thrown in because
That forgives it.
Yeah, MAGA love when you mention God and Christian and Jesus and shit like that. Like that just does something for it's like a wet dream or something. It's just
This is why I'm not religious, because this whole religious, if this is what religion is, if this is what I'm supposed to subscribe to, I'm out, because this is wacky shit.
With the whole hearing, he started saying he'd like to thank Jesus Christ as Savior. And I'm just like, what, motherfucker? What? You were accused of rape and you're an alcoholic. No
Right.
shit, alcoholics who are recovering and, doing whatever. It's a disease. I get it. But this motherfucker's didn't even go to recovery. He's like, I'm done. I'm cured. I'm good.
Yep, I'm good, and I'll never have a drink again. Trust me. All right, let's finish.
Investigated, and I was completely cleared. And I am so grateful for the marriage I have to this amazing woman behind me.
For now,
you've
he is.
admitted that you had sex at that hotel in October 2017. You said it was consensual, isn't that correct?
Anything,
Yeah.
You've admitted that it was
He's like, which one
consensual,
do I
and you were
say?
still married, and you just had a child by another woman.
again,
How do you explain your
completely
judgment?
false charges against me.
You
Fully investigated, and I was completely clear.
You have
That's not
admitted
true, by the way.
that you had sex while
signed
you were
an
married to
NDA.
wife 2 after you just had fathered a child by wife 3. You've admitted that. Now, if it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
It was a false claim then and a false claim now.
If it had been a
not the
sexual
question.
assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
That was a false claim.
It's not the question.
So you
Talking
can't,
about a hypothetical.
so you can't tell me whether someone who has committed a sexual assault is disqualified from being Secretary of Defense?
Senator, I know in my instance, and I'm talking about my instance only, it was a false claim.
But you acknowledge
And
you
it was
cheat, but
fully
you acknowledge
investigated.
that you cheated on your wife and that you cheated on the woman by whom you had just fathered a child. You have admitted that.
I will allow your words to speak for themselves.
You're not retracting that today.
I'll
That's good.
allow
I
your
assume
word-
that in each of your weddings, you've pledged to be faithful to your wife. You've taken an oath to do that, haven't you?
In front of God.
Senator, as I've acknowledged to everyone in this committee, not a perfect person, not claiming to
But
be.
no, I just asked a
Oh,
simple
boy.
question. You've taken an oath, like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense in all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct?
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior, Jesus
In
Christ.
Oh,
finalizing
of course you
divorces-
are. Okay, I'm done with that. But
Lord and
Lana.
Savior Jesus Christ.
yeah, I know.
redeemed, and I've been baptized by the blood of
Yep.
blood.
Well, it works, Lana. That's what it is. The people, when he goes back, because what he's going to do, obviously after this is over, he's going to be on 19 different safe spaces tonight. And they're all going to praise him about what a great job he did. They're going to talk about God. They're going to talk about family. They're going to talk about how awful the Democrats are and how, he's not a DEI hire. Although if he's not a DEI hire, I don't know who the fuck is. He's the most unqualified, like I said, might be the most unqualified person to ever speak in front of Congress to get any kind of nomination into a major position.
And just arrogant as hell. He could care less. He's like, what? I'm getting this job. Yeah, we're gonna see Pete Hegseth get stopped for drunk driving in
100%.
1.5 years because he's gonna let his guard down.
Yep.
He's gonna get this job and he's gonna drink all he wants.
And you know what else he's going to do when he's drunk? He's going to bang some other chick and get her pregnant.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It hasn't been resolved. This is what happens when these issues don't get resolved. He can't go cold turkey. Like,
Nope.
Like, what is this? It's not how alcoholism works.
Look, and you know what? I don't want to disparage anybody that's going through who's an alcoholic and doing everything they can to recover and all that stuff, because I'm sure it's a very tough thing to go through. But you know, the way he speaks and the arrogance and the you know, not only just the arrogance, but the awful things that he says about women, the awful things that he says about everybody else that's just not in his little bubble, you know, is something that's the reason why Lana is saying this is what he'll do, because this is who he is. And that's who he is. And he's eventually going to get drunk again. He's eventually probably going to sleep with another woman, whether he gets her pregnant or not. Who knows? It's very possible, because this guy can't seem to keep it in his pants. What does he say? He's got 7 kids.
Yeah. That's because he'd be drunk. Drunk when he's not even thinking about any of that.
You know what's funny about DEI? I saw this one time. I think we brought it up on the show. Do you know the initials of Donald Trump's kids? Donald, Eric, Ivanka. That is pretty fucking funny. All right.
Funny.
You know what's not funny, Lana? These assholes with these LA fires and the way they are handling this. Yeah. This makes me very angry, Lana. And it makes me angry to a point to where you almost have thoughts like you don't want to say them out loud, because just how awful these people are and how they are just like the blatant lying that they don't even care about. They don't care about whether it's true or not. They just know it is going to work with a segment of Americans in this country who are too fucking stupid to realize that they are lying to them. But we have this dipshit, Mike Johnson, and he was recently asked as to whether or not the government should place conditions on certain states based on, you know, what they do and who they are. This was his answer.
Are you open to providing aid to California without any conditions at all?
I think we've got to have a serious conversation about that. Obviously, there's been water resource mismanagement, forest management mistakes, all sorts of problems. And it does come down to leadership, and it appears to us that state and local leaders were derelict in their duty in many respects. So that's something that has to be factored in. I think there should probably be conditions on that aid. That's my personal view. We'll see what the consensus is. I haven't had a chance to socialize that with any of the members over the weekend because we've all been very busy, but it'll be part of the discussion for sure.
What about the debt limit increase? What about tying the debt limit increase to it?
There's some discussion about that, but we'll see where it goes.
All right, listen up, you fucknut. Number one, that guy's from Louisiana. Louisiana is in the bottom of almost every fucking thing that every category, Louisiana is at the bottom of it. And guess what? Any state funds that come to Louisiana, probably most of it is coming from California.
Exactly. Me and DA we were talking about this today, because I'm like, you know, the nerve of them to tell these lies about derelict of duty. No one says that when Texas was going through that ice storm, they weren't complaining about that. How about the hurricanes that go through Tennessee? No,
and Florida.
And Florida, right? Because why? There are natural disasters. A whole fucking condo complex went down in Florida. We act like that shit did not happen. Nobody was calling for Ron DeSantis to resign because of the way and those regulations in Florida, how those are written up. I don't know. You live in Florida, but I would imagine they're less strict than in other areas.
And deporting the immigrants. The state of Florida right now, and this is what drives me nuts in this state, because we are loaded with Trump morons in this state. I mean, loaded with them. And they want to demonize Gavin Newsom. And you know why they want to demonize him? Not because they know anything about Gavin Newsom. They don't know anything about California. They just hear it, and they, as I've called them, flying monkeys. They will just take whatever information they get, and they will fly off because the wicked bitch told them. But the state of Florida, and I brought this up 100 times, we had the highest inflation rate in the entire country, but nobody demonizes. I don't even hear Democrats demonizing Ron DeSantis over how poorly this state has been run since he's taken over.
And that's a shame because people think Disney World is doing great. And it's just not. But just to back up a minute, you call them flying monkeys, but that's how Trump uses them. That's how we use them, because it's like what they want to do eventually with California is the same thing that they're doing with New York. Is to chip at each county and turn each county from blue to red. So they can tell the lies about the California fires and get into the heads of a lot of hurting people. So those people can blame Gavin Newsom for everything that's going on. And it's because I've heard some things and I also go, well, these people are undergoing a traumatic experience. So they're going to say those things, right? Like they're going to be pissed off at just anybody, and everyone is going to get the ire. Gavin Newsom, like just all of them are going to get it because they're hurting. So I understand them saying what they say, but it's like, our lawmakers are using their hurt to fan the flame and hurt.
Literally, and figuratively,
literally, because what they also know is that Gavin Newsom is going to run for president. They want to hurt him. They want to injure him, and they want to injure California. So.
Well, Lana, that was their strategy. They did that for years with Hillary Clinton. They did it for years. They knew at some point she was going to run for president. So they demonized her for years and years and years. But, I go back to the flying monkeys comment. I mean, if anybody ever saw if you haven't seen The Wizard of Oz, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's one of the greatest movies of all time and maybe one of the greatest metaphors for just life in general. But do you know what happened once Dorothy threw that bucket of water on the Wicked Witch and she melted? The flying monkey started celebrating, saying we are no longer under the thumb of the Wicked Witch anymore. And see, the Republicans could have done this a long time ago. And this is exactly what will happen if they eventually take the fucking water bucket and throw it on this fucking moron. And the flying monkeys can finally be free of this nonsense. But speaking of morons and another flying monkey, this Tommy Tuberville, who used to be a college football coach, another DEI hire, and possibly he's in the running for top 5 dumbest people in all of Congress. It's not even close. I mean, this guy, I can't even believe how stupid he is, because to be a head coach in college football, you have to have some sort of brain. I mean, there's a lot of plays, there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of things that go on. You got to know. But this guy's so fucking stupid. This is him talking about bailing out states and whether or not we should bail out states that hire bad leaders. Come on,
the states be bailing out California for choosing the wrong people to run their state?
We shouldn't be. They got 40 million people in that state, and they voting these imbeciles in office, and they continue to do it. And it's
imagine Tommy Tuberville calling somebody an imbecile.
Just a smear.
Imagine somebody from Alabama, like you fucking last in education, last in healthcare, the highest infant mortality, the highest maternal mortality. They don't graduate. Half of them don't have indoor plumbing. Like, what the fuck?
Lana, I'm so glad you said that, because that's another thing I was going to point out. This is another dipshit from another state who is just so poorly run. I mean, it is in the bottom of almost everything. And he's talking about somebody that is running a state that has the 5th highest economy in the world.
Who is going on vacation to Alabama?
Right.
Who says that?
I got news for you, Lana. If I have to drive to California, I'm going around Alabama, so I don't have to go fucking through it. What do you think of that?
Today, imagine if you could retire, move to Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, and live like a king, like just rich. Nobody's doing that shit. Why? Nobody. Because that fucking state sucks.
I always hear about people are flocking to Texas and Florida. I never hear about anybody flocking to Louisiana, Mississippi, or Alabama. You know what those people are? They're stuck. where they're at, and
Exactly.
they can't go anywhere.
Exactly. The nerve. That shit is
in that state that's doing it. If you
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You go
I'm
to
sorry.
California, you run into a lot of Republicans, a lot of good people, and I hate it for them. But they are just overwhelmed by these inner city woke policies with the people that vote for them. And I don't mind sending them some money, but unless they show that they're going to change their ways and get back to building dams and storing water, doing the maintenance with the brush and the trees and everything that everybody else does in the country, and they refuse to do it, they don't deserve anything to be.
Lana, what's really disappointing? I'll tell you why it's disappointing for like a head coach. And, I always thought, in the college football head coaches, they got to go to a lot of these inner cities and they deal with a lot of people, from inner cities. And you would think that they'd be a little bit more sympathetic and not use language like that, but they're not. This guy is the same. He's just the Southern good old boy who plays the charm when he has to, but his real character, that's who he is. That's really who he is.
He's a KKKer. And then talking about, well, if they're not gonna brush the woods, and what the fuck you're not from California. I do not purport to know what's going on in the California forest, wilderness, how they fight, how they do it, how they suppress. Like, we don't fucking understand. But what we do understand is that there's no state in our country that would have been able to handle that wildfire that people describe as blowtorch coming down the mountains because of the wind. Common sense would say residential fire hydrants are not going to fucking work with 1,000 fires at once. Like this, that's just a common sense. So for even people to be saying, well, the water ran out, no fucking shit, Sherlock. Like, I would think that would happen even with all the reserves and all of the extra stuff that California put in place. Who would have fucking thought that there would be hurricane plus wildfire converging?
I'm just waiting to hear somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, why didn't they use a bunch of blankets to put it over the fire and try to put it out that way? Because that is their mentality. You're right. These idiots think that a fire hydrant, which, by the way, the ones that ran out, they ran out, from my understanding, there were some logistical issues the way they were placed and it's in where they were, just based in the terrain and all that stuff. That it's not because Gavin Newsom said, oh, whoops, I forgot to put water in those fire hydrants.
Exactly.
These fire hydrants wouldn't have put out the fire anyway. Is it, Lana? And I think I heard, am I correct? It was like 2 days that they couldn't do anything because of the winds. They couldn't send anything up in the air. They couldn't do anything.
And that was the main issue, because this fire would have been suppressed had they been able to get the planes up. Like you said, for 2 days, the winds were at hurricane level, so they couldn't get the suppression down. They couldn't get it down. Like, so how were firemen going to fight? Because and it's funny because not funny, but I heard a fireman talk about it. He's like, the way we fight fires in the the brush is different than how we fight fires in a residential area. It's not the same. You're not taking a fire hydrant and just like doing the brush. Like, that's not how you fight that. We're digging holes. We're trying to direct it other places. Like, that's how we fight it there. And you have to think too, when people were evacuating, they were leaving water on. They were like wetting their whole houses. Like, everyone was using water at the same time. So like, there wasn't enough fucking water probably in the world to put that fire out. Like, it wasn't going out.
I hope this is an eye-opener to the people in California who voted for Donald Trump and who are there on the scene and actually know and see what's going on and understand what's going on. I hope that this is something that wakes them up at least a little bit. But President Musk's spokesperson, Donald Trump, had a word salad on one of these Newsmax shows. And on this clip, just look at the guy that is, and this happens a lot when he's on these phone interviews. You see the picture of him and he's on the phone. and you see the interviewer, and you can almost tell like, this guy's all over the map, and I just want to try to get a word in, and this guy's nuts. But here he is on the LA fires, which 4 more years of this. God damn it.
They're going to try and blame the fires in Los Angeles. They'll probably try and blame us for that. You know, I was, when I was president, I demanded that this guy, the governor, accept the water coming from the north, from
That's not true.
way up in Canada and you know, the north. It flows down through.
Yep, the guy's going.
Los Angeles. I mean, massive millions and millions of gallons of water a week. Probably, I think even a day, massive amounts coming out from the mountains, from the melts.
Yeah.
And even without it, even during the summer, it's a natural flow of water. They would have had so much water, they wouldn't have known what to do with it. You would have never had the fires. People would have been able to sprinkle their lawns and everything else. You know, the problem is it's so dry. It was always so dry there. And it's just a mess. They could have, you know, maintained their forests. And
I mean, the guy looks confused. Lana looks confused. I know I'm confused. I mean, imagine listening to this guy and somebody going, did you hear Donald Trump on Newsmax today and how brilliant he was about what he said about the fires? Could you imagine anybody saying that?
Forest. How do you maintain a forest? When someone comes and like maybe dumps some embers or something from a cookout or whatever, like how do you stop that from? What do you just douse the whole forest with that water, magic water from Canada, every day? Just the whole forest with that, just in case there's gonna be a fire. Like what the fuck are you talking? Funny story though with Donald Trump and not believing in climate change, but also building a seawall around his golf course in Ireland and citing climate change as the reason why he needed to build the seawall around his golf course in Ireland.
Well, you know, the magic wand that everybody thinks Donald Trump has, you know, he's going to lower the gas prices. He's going to lower interest rates. He's going to lower egg prices. He knows how to rake forest fires better than anybody. He knows military better than anybody. He knows. And, you know, imagine listening to this guy and going, yeah, that is the guy that we need to run basically the world. And I just, other than you and I talking to each other weekly, this is going to be painful. This is just going to be painful to sit through. But finally, President Musk did this thing where I don't know if he was, I don't think it was secret because it looked like he was talking, but he had a phone and he was talking to somebody in the fire team there that was trying to explain to him what was going on. And I think Elon thought he was going to get some big thing and post it on his little Twitter. But it turned out it didn't work out for him as well as he thought it was going to.
All right. What about water availability? Was water availability? I understand that was like not an issue in Malibu. Is that correct?
He reminds me, he thinks he's one of these guys that goes out on the streets like these right-wing nuts who go on the street and they think they're going to catch liberals and then post it on their little TikToks or whatever.
Water? Well, yeah. So
it's a child. This guy's a fucking child.
Reservoirs that casinos that we use a lot. Now, just an example, if we have one building burning, we could flow 1,000 gallons a minute on that one building with the hose lays that we put in to stop it. You can imagine 1,000 gallons per house we couldn't do, right? So the amount of water we're flowing, there really is no water system that's going to keep that pace. So we have to bring in water tenders, which are these big tank water tanks that, 2,500, 3,000 gallon trucks, and they'll come in. And that's what we have to do to compensate. So they park out there, do it. DWP did a great job. They brought in big water trucks for us, and we use them as basically mobile hydrants. Right, and then we have our own agency as well that has.
Is Elon comprehending any of this?
No, because he just wanted to catch. He's so busy live streaming. He thought he was getting something. He's like, "Did I get it?" In his head's probably like, "Did I get something?" Like,
yep. He was like, "I don't know. Did he say something that is gonna get all of my flying monkeys to flap their wings and go nuts? I don't know if I did or I don't think I did."
Yeah, he would have shut it off had he actually really known what the guy was saying. He probably would have cut that off.
I'll tell you what, it worked out so well for him that Gavin Newsom wound up retweeting it.
Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Water tenders. Okay. My understanding is that like along the, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, along
Still trying.
In Malibu along the coast, there was no shortage of water. In the Palisades, there was a shortage of water at a certain point. Or is that not accurate?
Well, we were flowing just an amount of water that the system couldn't overbear. That we're just overbearing, just because of how much water these firefighters were utilizing.
Okay.
Like, what the fuck kind of fire do they think this was? Like, it's baffling. It's like, it wasn't like a fucking trash fire. It was a fucking fire that was consuming a neighborhood with embers, just thrown to a whole nother neighborhood. Just one spark sets that off, and what?
That's what he wants to do, though. He wants to try to catch him. And one thing was telling, if you just hear the sort of the psychology behind this, it's Elon, and he knows, and you said it earlier, he knows he's going in here not to get real answers. He's going there to try to catch the guy into something so he could post it on his little Twitter. So when he asks the question, hey, were they out of water? If he really wanted like a solid answer, he would. But then he follows it up with, or is that not accurate? Because internally he knows that is not true. And that's a tell. That is a tell when you follow it up with it, or is that not true? Because that's part of him kind of not wanting to sound stupid.
Right.
All right. Couple more things, Lana. Our fantastic, incredible president, Joe Biden, 1 week from today will no longer be president. And I know a lot of MAGAs are celebrating that, and they think this is the greatest day of their lives. And I'll tell you what, they are, they're lining this up, as if they're going to be in Times Square on New Year's Eve and the ball is dropping. The countdown is on. The biggest celebration of these losers' lives are going to be the fact that the libtards have been trolled to the ultimate degree, and that Joe Biden, one of the greatest presidents of our lifetime, and there's a strong case that he could be the most effective president of our lifetime, will no longer be. The latest jobs report just came out, his last jobs report, and added over 200,000 jobs when they thought that they were going to add about 100. I think it was 170,000 was the thought. In 48 months, 4 years as Joe Biden of being president, did not have 1 month of negative job growth. That he outpaced, the GDP was up. He outpaced inflation with wages. The stock market hit record highs under his presidency. And again, I'm pretty sure most people who do not understand the economy do not understand how remarkable he steered our ship from the time he took over to where we are at now. Because Lana and I will talk about this, and this is something we will say over and over and over again. In fact, somebody might be tuning in right now and going, Jesus Christ, why is Black and White doing a rerun from months ago? This is not a rerun. We are saying once again that Joe Biden, what he did post-pandemic has put us as the #1 economy in the world. And we had what was called the soft landing that all economists said that we would not all, but many economists said we're going to have a rocky thing and we're going to go through a big recession. We never hit the recession that they all said we were going to hit. What Joe Biden did, you should be proud as an American that he was our president. You should be ashamed that he's not going to be our president, and you let this dipshit take over who is now going to ruin our economy. Lana, what do you think?
I believe that they will praised Biden's economy.
Me too.
Once Trump takes office, because they're gonna claim it's Trump's. That's when he's gonna go.
That's a no brainer and a no doubter. You know what? Because 1 month from now, the economic numbers will be good. And you know what they're going to do. Look what happens when Trump takes office. But this is, I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. They call him the vice president, but JD Vance, wherever he's been, and exactly. I don't know. I haven't heard much from JD. I've heard from President Musk. I've heard from the spokesperson, Donald Trump. But JD Vance made an appearance on one of the Sunday Safe Space shows, and he was asked about the economy that he's getting ready to take it over. And this is what this fucking liar had to say.
On the border, he wants to talk about what he's left you on the economy. There was a robust report out of December on jobs, unemployment down to 4.1%. President Biden says his policy decisions are finally paying off. Here's a bit of more he said on Friday.
Sure. After decades of trickle-down economics
that
primarily benefited those at the very top, Kamala and I and our administration have written a new playbook that's growing the economy.
I love you. Oh, shit. I love he always gives Kamala credit, by the way.
Kamala and I and our administration have written a new playbook that's growing the economy from the middle out and the bottom up that benefits everyone. The new playbook is working.
Okay, so the December numbers were good. What kind of credit do you give him?
Well, look, first of all, I wish Joe Biden all the best. But the fact is he has left us a dumpster fire, not just at the border, but also with the economy. First of all, we know that prices are way too high for many Americans. We have to work every single day to stabilize prices for American families. But Shannon, everything that he's bragging about ignores the fact that he has added trillions and trillions of dollars to the federal debt.
Donald Trump added double.
Peace. He has left us with bond yields, meaning how are we going to finance that debt? We have to sell Treasury bonds. And the Treasury bonds have gotten more expensive because of Joe Biden's policies. So you go issue after issue. Oil prices are now shooting through the roof in the final 2 months of Joe Biden's administration, in part because of decisions that Joe Biden has made over the last few weeks. He actually hasn't left the American people in good economic condition. That's why they made Donald J. Trump the president-elect of the United States. So we've got a lot of work to do. I remain fundamentally, and you know this, Shannon, I'll always be an optimist about our country, but I think that that optimism has to start with a bit of realism. And the real truth is that Joe Biden has left us a dumpster fire. Donald Trump is going to have to put it out, but he's good at doing that.
Yeah, realism. This is the same guy that left people thinking that Haitians were eating pets in Ohio. There's nothing real about this administration and what they tell the American people. This is all horseshit. Joe Biden, just look at any economist right now. They will tell you that the Trump administration is taking over a great economy and he's taking over the #1 economy in the world, period. End of story. There's no argument here.
Yeah. No one's, come on. Like, again, when we couldn't buy toilet tissue, paper towels, all that shit, Lysol was like $10 for a spray can. Like, yeah, that was a problem, and that was under Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And you know what's I've said this before. I don't blame Donald Trump, because what happened was I will blame Donald Trump all day for the people losing their lives over COVID and the pandemic and how he handled that. That he handled as a disaster. But the economy and all the numbers that Donald Trump left Joe Biden was going to happen regardless of who the president was, because that's what the pandemic did. It was a global issue. And there are countries that are still trying to recover from the pandemic. And we did it better than anybody. It's not even close. We are the envy of every country in the world. But this is what JD Vance is doing. He is setting up already that Joe Biden left us a dumpster fire, but the flying monkeys are going to literally think that 1 month later, because of all the good economic numbers that are come out a month later, is going to be just because Donald Trump is sitting in the Oval Office. Right. Breathe, Lana, because we need to do a lot of breathing and reading. Reading about how to keep your mind straight. That's what I've been doing.
Meditate.
Meditate. That's a good thing. Meditate, read, and keep your mind clear. Because when we do that and our mind is clear, like I said, what's going to happen? Lana and I, we know we're not somebody that goes around and say we have one of the top podcast shows on YouTube, even though we think we do a very good job. But all of us need to use our intelligence. We need to use our clear minds to combat this insane ridiculousness that we're going to have to sit through for the next 4 years. And Lana and I have had discussions before, and we thought it's going to be tiring. There was even a part, I'm not going to speak for Lana, but there was a part of me at one point, I was like, I don't know if I can fucking do this. I really don't, but I cleared my mind and I said, you know what? I fucking can do this, because at some point, actually, there's a part of me that's going to be fun, because it's just going to be, we're going to have to, sit on we are all of us are Americans, and we're all on the Titanic now. And the Titanic's going down. And if you remember the Titanic, there was a bunch of poor people on there who were down at the bottom, and they were the workers. And then you had the rich people. Well, the rich people, these idiots, they think the rich people represent the MAGA people. They think they're the rich people here, and that we're the poor people on the bottom. Guess what? When this ship sinks, all of us are going down, you fucking idiots. All of us. Yeah. And we'll wave bye to you as you're going down, and you'll say, what happened and why am I going down with you? This one's supposed to happen, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, it is.
All right.
Not the first month, not the second month, may not even be the first year.
Right. Well, if we can get to year 2 and shore up the Congress, because traditionally, regardless, forget about Trump, forget about the Democrats, Republicans. Traditionally,
right,
it's very difficult to win a midterm for the president when in his first couple of years. But anyway, all right, Lana, we got one last clip, and you're gonna fucking love this, and I love it. And shit, I love it so much I might play it twice. You know me, I have a couple of girlfriends. Jessica Tarlov is one. And although I will say one thing about Jessica Tarlov, I love her and she's awesome. But there is a part of me to where, especially now with these lies and everything, to sit there with those people, I don't know how she could do it. And I don't know how she sits there and even, because sometimes they'll say things and they'll joke about things and she'll kind of laugh. To me, all this shit's not fucking funny.
Right. And
I don't know how she could do it, but I still love her. But my other girlfriend, Jasmine Crockett, did you see her today? Ooh.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
Let's go.
This is Jasmine Crockett. I'll just say Jasmine Crockett and Nancy Mace, and let's just let the clip do the talking itself.
Campaign coffers really are struggling right now, so she gonna keep saying trans so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or
Do
not
call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I'm 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I am
will.
reclaiming my time.
You will not do that. I
Order.
am not a child.
I am reclaiming my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not in order.
Order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order.
Lana, all right. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Does Nancy Mace want to take it outside?
Exactly. No. And it's so funny because nobody called her child. Like, no one said, child, go sit down. Like, it was like, ooh, child. Like,
yeah,
girl,
yeah.
what's wrong with you? You don't understand vernacular? Like, what's wrong with you? You just want to be a thug? You ain't no thug. Go sit down.
Nancy Mace is trying to do her best to now be the crazy. She's trying to out crazy Marjorie Taylor.
I was going to say, it's like she's trying to take her spot because Marjorie's quiet. Marjorie has some other jobs now. So, she's busy working on the Gulf of America.
Right.
Nancy Mace.
And I think she's still trying to jockey for a position in the Trump administration. So she has not been as vocal, but even a 1 minute clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene within 1 month is painful to listen to because I just can't listen to that fucking voice. And then when you couple the voice with what comes out of her mouth is, painful. It is painful. But Nancy Mace is now, because she knows there's no place for her in the Trump administration, she's going to be a House member for until she gets voted out, or until she decides she's not going to do it anymore. She probably won't get voted out, but she knows now to become the biggest star in MAGA in the House, you got to be batshit crazy. And boy, she is out of the gate like Usain Bolt running in the Olympics. She is looking to break a record.
Like, girl, what? You don't want to take anything out. Like, what? And Jasmine's smart, right? Like, if Jasmine said that, all hell would have broke loose.
No question.
Like, oh my God, the violence. They're claiming violence. I want a restraining order on Jasmine Crockett because she said she was going to beat me up. Like, it would have been a whole thing.
Yeah, and how great is it? Because Jasmine is smart and she knows, watch me rile up this idiot, and then I'll just sit back and smile and, watch her lose her mind and not be able to handle this because she is not mentally capable to handle this.
I love how Frost came to the her rescue too. Frost is like, isn't it against the law threatening another member of Congress?
I didn't even see that part. I saw that right before I came on. I was like, holy shit, I was just sent. If there is a clip god, the God sent me is like, hey Brian, right before you go on Black and White, guess what? I've got a Jasmine Crockett clip. We're batshit crazy Nancy Mace. Fight her out.
She was.
That's great.
Jasmine wrote 2 tweets about it. One on her her Congresswoman account, and then
her personal one.
A personal one that was calling like Nancy Mace all kind of like she don't want a piece of me. What did she say? She called the police on a kid that shook her hand. Like,
right. Oh boy, Lana. All right. Well, you know what? Like I said, we have 4 years of this fun. And there's going to be plenty of more clips like this. The one good thing is we will never run out of material. Never. There's almost too much material. There's 15 more clips I could have played tonight, but we only have so much time. I mean, we can go on as long as we want to, but we have made the decision that, look, we're going to do our show. We're not going to sit here all night. Sometimes we might go a little bit longer than others, but as of right now, we want to get out at a decent time because I feel good. Right now it's 8:06. There's so many things I could do right now.
Yeah, look, and if the Celtics were on, you could watch them.
100%, no question about it. Oh, by the way, real quick, if you can, and you don't have to answer now, but next Tuesday I won't be able to do the show. I could do it either Monday, the night before the inauguration, or Wednesday, the night after the inauguration. So let me know if you can do either one.
Wait, you can do, what did we say?
The night before the inauguration, because next Tuesday's the inauguration. I can't do the show next Tuesday. I got a work thing.
Wait, I thought the inauguration was Monday. I thought it was
the 21st, Tuesday the 21st.
Oh, why did I think it was on Martin Luther King Day?
Oh God, that would be awful.
No, that's because I thought that's what everyone kept saying. Like, I'll be celebrating Martin Luther King and not watching the inauguration.
I am going to double check, but I am pretty positive. Inauguration Day 2025 is, oh my God, it is Monday.
Right, I thought so.
I'm glad you said that. I thought for some reason it was the 21st. So okay.
Yeah,
so
that's a going theme. Like, who the fuck's watching that when it's Martin Luther King Day? Fuck that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I won't be. I don't care what day it is. I will not watch that inauguration. I won't watch once I get out. I didn't watch the 2016 one, and I have zero plans on watching this one. Now, of course, there'll probably be some clips and everything, but I will not sit there and watch that. No fucking chance. What do you make of Michelle Obama, not going to Jimmy Carter's funeral, and she's already said, I'm not going to that inauguration either.
Well,
which I admire.
I don't know why she didn't go to Jimmy Carter.
Oh, I think I know why, because she knew the seating arrangement.
Yeah, I just don't want to assume that that's the thing. It may be, but I don't want to act like that's the real reason, and I don't know the real reason. Suspect it.
And now she's not going to the inauguration. I mean, you have to suspect it has something to do with being somebody that is taking the stand and saying, I'm not doing it. And look, I'm not demonizing anybody else that goes to it or decides that, because there are people like Obama was the president, right? So he feels like he's doing the right thing just by America, not by Donald Trump. He's doing it by America, showing that this is an American thing and this is what I'm doing. If his wife decides, listen, I ain't sitting next to that bullshit, I don't blame her for not doing it. I believe Kamala Harris is going. I believe Joe Biden is going. So
I mean, I get it, right? I get that they can't. It's just not a precedence that they want to start setting, because sure enough, if none of them go, then after Trump, if Democrat, then they're not like where does it end? Like we have. Let me just say this too. I was like really upset with, I don't know which of them Krastenstein brothers, I don't know, Ed or Brian or what, you know who I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them was like, had the picture of Obama, and Trump like laughing and said that bullshit about, something
they're
about
all friends or something.
Yeah, you can't trust them or something like that. I thought you could trust them or whatever. And I'm just like, Democrats fucking make me sick. And it's not like the lawmakers. It's just like liberals are just so fucking are like snowflakes sometimes. It's like, it's a fucking picture. Well, how are you interpreting all of this that they're boys now?
Right.
Obama is not golfing with Donald Trump, right? He didn't go to Mar-a-Lago and have dinner with Donald Trump. So what you're saying is not true, because two men are at a funeral. It doesn't equate that they're friends now. He couldn't choose his seat, because I'm pretty sure if he could, he wouldn't have sat there. That's in order of precedence of how they were sitting. Like, what was he going to sit there and ignore him like Melania did? Weird.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there is, you and I discussed this before, there is decorum at a funeral. And when you're at a funeral, it's not up to you to now start a bickering fight with the guy that is sitting next to you. That's not how this works.
Imagine if he didn't talk to him. He knew the camera was watching the two of them. He already knew that. So he had to be cordial because he was being watched.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I don't put too much into that. I think, if you're a human being and you're sitting next to somebody at a funeral and they say something to you, again, he was the president of the United States. All cameras are going to be on him. And it was just him saying, Michelle said, you know what? She didn't go for whatever reason. She didn't go. She's also not going to go to the inauguration. And I'm fine with whatever decision anybody wants to make in this situation. So,
I mean, if I was Kamala, I wouldn't go, but
I wouldn't either. I just,
not the president. So Biden could go because he's the president, but why am I? I'm not going.
That's the point I made last week. I mean, that's the one thing, being the kind of Democrat I'm sitting there going, it does piss me off that the Democrats in a way feel like they still always have to do the right thing when these assholes, they'll, like I said, Donald Trump will be a good little puppy and he'll laugh it up with Obama when he's sitting next to him, but he won't talk that shit in front of his face. He won't do it. He's going to be as cordial and as nice as he possibly can be because he's going to be on his best behavior because he knows Obama's better than him in every respect, in every walk of life. He knows he's better than him. Yeah. So he's going to be on his best behavior in front of Obama. But then after it's over, he's going to run to the microphone in his safe space and he's going to talk that shit just like all MAGA men do. That's what these dudes do. They're pussies. They're all pussies. And this is why the Democrats can defeat them if they use their intelligence. You brought up the Kasserstein brothers or whatever. It's these blue MAGAs, these far left idiots who still think they need to make a point about Nancy Pelosi and fucking get the fuck out of here.
It's this.
That's exactly what it is.
They're not making a point. They're making engagement. So
yeah, they don't
incendiary things so that they get the engagement, so they make the money.
Yeah. Hey, notice real quick, Lana, before we go, I don't hear him talking about Palestine anymore. Where's that gone?
Exactly. Where is it gone?
All right. Black and White, Brian Rundle, Lana Quest. Do me a favor. If you're watching the show, please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you can. Lana would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Lana would also appreciate if you would check out her show, The Quest Show, Thursday nights. It made its successful return.
Yeah.
I mean, they were talking about it on MSNBC, CNN. They were talking about it all over the place. That Lana had her first show back in 2025. Everybody was talking about it. If you didn't catch it, you could go watch it on her show last week. And then she will be live Thursday night, 7:00. All right. And then let me know if you want to do Monday or Wednesday, or if you can't do either. If you can't, that's fine. And I'll pick a day.
Wednesday. Yeah. I'll let you know. Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, just let me know. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lana. Great seeing you. Everybody for watching. We appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see everybody. I'll be back during the week sometime, but then we'll be back live next week. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.